Hey guys, I was wondering if you could answer, what do you think about the future or possibilities in the future of safeguarding property rights in this country?
Well, I mean, I'll start over. Well, I mean, there is some protection. There's common law protection. We haven't put it in the Constitution. That was thought of being desperately radical, even though it's in the Constitution of all kinds of countries around the world. I think it remains a worthy goal. Property rights should be part of any sensible countries, you know, in the Western liberal tradition. I do think probably the best way to go about it is not to sort of go at the abstract principle first, but go at the objective consequences when you don't recognize property rights, when property rights are overridden, because all kinds of nasty things follow. And you have to make it concrete for people so they can see that, so they can see that you know, so you argue from facts, argue from cases, rather than getting too windy and abstract and theoretical, I think is fundamentally the way to go on this. And particularly on issues like the environment, for example. Remember, you're always trying to reach people who aren't already in your camp. You don't want to just preach to the choir. And the environment, frankly, is a big missed opportunity for conservatives in general, because there's a whole generation of free market environmentalists who've grown up, who really understand markets, and understand that they're not just avenues for private greed, but are actually social institutions that can be quite usefully harnessed to things. So you've got a whole generation, as I say, who understand the use of price mechanisms, et cetera, to achieve environmental goals. And there was a great opportunity for conservatives there to say, well, if you like what the market can do for you on the environment, now that I've got your attention, can I interest you in what you can do for you in education and healthcare and these other areas where it's been underused? And because conservatives, I think, passed on that opportunity, I think they lost that opening. But one particular aspect of that is a lot of times when you examine cases of environmental degradation, one of the things that's at the root is either the failure to assign property rights, the tragedy of the commons, or property rights are there and they just get roughly overridden because you know, the government of the day wants to have jobs for the boys. So you can make a case to people who would not automatically and instantly be in your camp. You can reach them through these kinds of arguments.
May, on the issue of property rights, an issue dear to my heart. First of all, I would second everything that Andrew has said about the concrete case for property rights. Simply declaiming the abstract case for property rights and discussing the subject in the abstract is a very difficult proposition in the public sphere. In the private sphere, it's a different story, and there's all sorts of good intellectual academic work that needs to be done there. But I'm telling you, when I was in the public sphere, I mean, in the political sphere, it's a very difficult issue to tackle without a hell of a lot of backup in the political sphere. Assuming, I think, for a moment, the question is about constitutional protection of property rights. This is a very, we have, again, on my stricture, I won't talk about what I was up to in government, but maybe I can draw on some lessons from what I was in government. The path to the constitutional amendment that protects property rights in the Constitution is an issue that requires a great deal more legal and parliamentary thinking. It will almost certainly require a private member's bill to do it, rather than government legislation to do it, for reasons that I won't go into, but people can go do the research themselves. It's all publicly available. And it would almost certainly require private members' legislation at the federal level and at a number of provinces level. I think Scott, Reid, and his provincial friend here in Ontario, Randy Hillier, thank you, are on the right tactical path here. I haven't followed their strategic argument for property rights protection, but I think I understand the tactical considerations that they're playing here. And broadening out Scott and Randy's efforts here is, I think, is the practical path forward here. But we need to do, in addition to making the principled case and then the concrete case that Andrew's been talking about, we need the legislative legal path here, and that is a great deal more complicated than it appears to be on first glance. This is probably a good 5 or 10 years worth of pretty thankless parliamentary and legal research before we can push this forward again.